dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I have what I think is going to be a quick video to share with you guys today. This isn't a normal upload day for me, but I just had to come and talk to you guys about something. Now, this is a very specific video, one that might not interest you at all. I'm going to be talking about the movie Glass that recently was released into theaters, and it's going to be full of spoilers, this talk, and I just want to kind of work out a few things that have been bothering me, not so much about the movie, but about people's reaction to the movie. And I just want to share my thoughts. If you've seen it and you disagree with me and kind of end up more on the side of everyone else that I'm confused by, let's talk about it in the comments. Maybe I'm just missing something, but I don't think so. Anyway, let me get my glasses on because I got notes and I'm getting old and need reading glasses. Okay, let's get into the notes. So Glass, if you're still tuned in here, Glass is the third movie in a trilogy by M. Night Shyamalan. The two movies that came before it are Unbreakable and Split. Unbreakable starred Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. Split starred James McAvoy. And the third movie brought all three of the characters together. I saw this movie last week. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Going in, I knew that the critics were giving it some rough reviews, but I also noticed that a lot of viewers were giving it high reviews. High reviews? Positive reviews. So I went in just kind of ready to see where it took me. I came out of the theater. I had really enjoyed it. I sat in the car with my husband. We were talking about it. He also really enjoyed it. Then I got home and I started going around YouTube, going to my faves, you know, the people, the channels that I go to for film and TV reviews to see what they thought of it. Namely, there's two channels, namely. One is Red Letter Media. I love those guys. Half in the Bag is one of my favorite series on YouTube. I think Mike and the other guy whose name I can never remember, I want to say Chris. I don't know. But the two of them, I just love them so much. And I tend to share a lot of similar thoughts on films as they do. So it's fun to hear what they think. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I disagree, but a lot of times that just comes down to a difference in opinion on what kind of film you like. One of the girls I love watching on YouTube who does some movie reviews, normally she sort of sticks to horror, but she did review Split and now Glass, and that's Sarah Hawkinson. I love her too. And when I was watching the reviews of Glass, both of them hit on points that I totally disagreed with, and they were kind of in agreement with each other. They were saying the same things, and I was like, were we watching the same movie? Were we? So the first thing that I kind of disagree with a lot of other reviewers about is the whole spoilers. Like I said, there's gonna be a ton of spoilers here, so if you don't want spoilers for Glass, do not watch this. But the movie kind of ends with an all-out brawl in the parking lot outside of the mental institution where all three of these characters have been staying for a good majority of the film. It's Bruce Willis versus James McAvoy, you know, sort of good versus evil, and Samuel L. Jackson as Elijah, or Mr. Glass. He's kind of the mastermind, puppet master, if you will, of these two and what they've got going on. Throughout the movie, we're made to think that the end game for this is the two of them ending up at a new tower that's being unveiled downtown. It's like the grand opening or whatever. And so we think that that's what's supposed to happen. David Dunn and the Horde are going to have a brawl on the top of this tower. Now, to me, by it ending in the parking lot, that made it a much more realistic ending. This trilogy isn't a Marvel movie, you know what I mean? These superheroes are different than your typical superheroes. Them not making it to the tower made way more sense to me than them actually making it. Sarah mentioned in her video that she thought this had something to do with M. Night's budget because Glass was completely funded by him. And so he had a $20 million budget, and she thought that's why it ended up in the parking lot and not on the tower. But to me, it made more sense in terms of the story. Now, did budget have something to do with it? Maybe, but I don't think so. I feel like it was always meant to end in the parking lot, especially as Elijah lays dying in his mother's arms and he tells her, you know, this was an origin story all along. That was the point where I was like, oh, this is where it was supposed to end. So a lot of people were really unsatisfied with that part of the ending, whereas for me, that made it more realistic. You know, if this was really happening, yeah, of course, the main fight would be in the parking lot, not on a grand building with some big display. And I don't think Elijah ever meant for it to end up at the tower. So that was the first point that I kind of couldn't understand so many people being critical of. The second point is the big one. So let's just jump into that one. And that is the ending for the three characters is they all die. And Bruce Willis's character gets drowned in a puddle, which sounds ridiculous because his powers, you know, include extreme strength, but his weakness is water. A lot of people kind of thought, you know, weakness or not, surely there was a way for him to get himself out of that puddle, but he didn't. So one of the things that is revealed as we're watching it is that Sarah Paulson, who plays a doctor at the mental facility, she's part of a secret society that's main job is to keep the general public unaware of superheroes. And we know she's a part of this group because she has a clover tattooed on her wrist. Then we see as James McAvoy's character is being shot. The shooter has a clover tattooed on his wrist. Then we see the person drowning David Dunn in the puddle has a clover tattoo on his wrist. So many of the reviewers didn't understand why all these people were standing around letting this one cop drown Bruce Willis in a puddle. But that's the point. They were all part of it. At least that's what I took from it. Everyone who responded to her call for backup is part of this society. On Red Letter Media, they said, you know, there wasn't any code speak when she was on the phone, like, oh, send the special society. But, like, she could have called the special society, and here's what I'm thinking. If I was in a special society, say I'm holed away in a basement somewhere with my group, and we're waiting for the call to go and take care of these three men. If she called me and was like, send backup, send the police, however she would word it, I'd know she meant me. You know what I mean? So for the Red Letter Media guys, it kind of tripped them up that, well, there was no code speak, so when she called the police, she wasn't saying to send a certain group. Right, but she probably just called the group. So no matter what she said, that group would know that since the call is coming from her, now is the time to go. So I don't think there were a bunch of regular cops standing around watching this one cop drown him in a puddle and not doing anything about it. They were all part of the society. Okay. That felt good, you guys. I had to get that off my chest. Just because I feel like either I'm missing the point entirely or everyone else is. And that one, the one with the cop drowning him in the puddle, that's a big one that's just been bothering me. And both Sarah and Red Letter Media touched on that point. Like, why did the cops just stand around and not do anything? And when I'd come out of the theater, to me it was obvious that everyone there was in on it, was part of this secret society. So yeah, there you go, you guys. Those are my thoughts. I just wanted to share them because I'd love to have a talk about it in the comments down below if you'd like. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if I'm wrong, if I missed something, tell me. tell me for sure. I love talking about movies and hearing other people's points of view and seeing where we differ. But yeah, when both of them had completely different thoughts about it than I did, I was like, wait a minute. We need to talk about it. So before I sign off from the video, do you have any thoughts you'd like to add real quick?
Yeah, I know this is, you've mentioned some of this stuff already, but Dr. Staple at one point, right after she gets David to shake her hand, she flat out says that she would have left David alone if the Horde hadn't shown up. I don't necessarily think that this secret organization or secret society or whatever, they're not necessarily inherently evil. They're interested in trying to, I guess, shield people from the truth that's out there. So I guess you could look at it like that and say they're evil, but they're not, I never really thought of this organization as, the stereotypical evil group with like the long mustache and they're twiddling and just talking about evil plans and how evil they are or anything like that. I never got that impression whatsoever. She flat out said that if the Horde hadn't shown up, who all we know about him so far from the movies in terms of the crimes that he's committed is, he kidnaps and kills women. That showed up, and that's what drew her to this. That's what drew their organization's attention to this. David Dunn going out and just stopping random burglaries in town, that wasn't big enough to draw her attention. That wasn't a main thing for her. Kevin's dad dying in the train wreck caused by Elijah, caused by Mr. Glass in Unbreakable, that was, in my opinion, that was incidental. That was, again, not part of Elijah's plan. That was something where he didn't know the full history of everybody on the train and how this was going to play out in terms of all of that. He was looking for David Dunn's character. He was looking for this unbreakable man. That's all he was looking for. Yeah, it's a I guess you can almost say it's a cheap way to just tie everything together, but I didn't really have a problem with it. It's established that they all were in the same town, that they were all in the same general area of the world at the same point in time, so I didn't have much of an issue with that.
Anyway, thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with my regularly scheduled video, and that will be a book talk. Bye, guys.